Protesters rallied against Georgia's plans to redraw its political boundaries. Governor Kemp called state lawmakers back for a special session in late June.
This comes after the Supreme Court gutted a section of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 that banned racially based gerrymandering. Fox 5's Christopher King spoke with people on both sides of this issue. He joins us live from the state capitol with more. Christopher?
Courtney, Russ, those protesters marched right here to the state capitol. They say Republicans are trying to weaken black voting power, but Republicans say they're just trying to eliminate racial gerrymandering. Dozens of demonstrators on Thursday rallied at the King Center to protest GOP efforts to redraw Georgia's voting districts. They marched to the state capitol. This after Governor Brian Kemp called a special session for state lawmakers to rework maps for their own seats, as well as Georgia's congressional districts for the 2028 election.
This is absolutely an attempt to gerrymander.
Kat Taylor is with Georgia Voices United. She says state Republicans are trying to break up predominantly black districts and undermine black voting clout.
So when they say something like, oh, we're cutting Democrat districts, they know for a fact that they're cutting black districts.
The U.S. Supreme Court last month knocked down a major pillar of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Supporters say it prevented discrimination against people of color at the ballot box. It helped elect thousands of black and Latino representatives at all levels of government.
This Supreme Court decision is clear. That we can't have these racially gerrymandered maps anymore. They're illegal.
Josh McCoon chairs the Georgia Republican Party. He commends the governor's call to redraw the maps.
It's important to change those as soon as possible. I want to live in an America where we don't racially segregate voters.
The race to redistrict heating up across the South as the midterms approach.
It could be harmful on either side.
Brittany Burns is with Black Voters Matter Fund. She warns redistricting could backfire.
Folks are going to always vote from their self-interest, not always their parties. So while one party may feel like, hey, this may benefit us, history has shown us that sometimes that might turn.
Now, all this after President Donald Trump urged Republicans to redistrict in red states in order to pick up more congressional seats for the midterms. Governor Kemp says the special session will not interfere with current voting or the midterms, and that special session begins on June 17th. We're live at the state capitol. Christopher King, Fox 5 News.
Christopher, thanks.